I was watching August stream today, and he brought up a really good point. Jumping into the void to run away from depths ganks is a huge problem that makes nearly every fight in the depths unenjoyable. If you aren't sure what it is, how it works is when you are above 50% health, regardless of if you are in combat or not, and jump into the void, it will send you to layer 2. Layer 2 is an instance server, so that means that you can't be chased or ganked, and any consequence you would have faced by losing that depths fight is entirely nullified. This feature was originally added as a safety net for newer and inexperienced players, instead of instantly wiping them for falling into the void. However, good intentions aside, it has been abused far too much to the point where every depths fight will usually result in the losing side escaping using this safety net. And while a majority of the PvP side will tell you that this is a horrible change and should be immediately removed, the other side of the spectrum, the PvE players, will tell you that it is a great addition and has probably saved their build countless times. Whether or not you think that is a good thing, specifically for players that are on a PvE build not designed to fight well in pretty much any PvP situation, most players will agree that it is at least a cheesy strat at the bare minimum. Now, I can see around 4 different ways this issue could be addressed, so I want to take the time to go over some of them. Number 1. Removing it in player combat. The simplest and most obvious option. If you are fighting someone in the depths, you should automatically be locked into that fight no matter what. The victor is the only one that comes out alive, and that's all that matters. Guts and glory. Some pros. Players won't be able to jump into the void the moment they get player tagged anymore, and it allows you to strong left someone into the void again. Cons. Allows you to get strong lefted into the void again. Spark swap. Loot gets voided, incentivizes players to log whenever they see another player, incentivizes trackstar builds to become even more required when exploring the depths, and newer players or freshies getting ganked even more often. This makes the depths never safe, which could also be a pro if you wanted to. Overall, I think it's a fine choice, but it's definitely a band-aid fix, which comes with pretty much every downside that existed in verse 1. Number 2. Random chance. Instead of instantly killing you when you fall into the void, you instead have a percentage chance to get sent to layer 2. This chance could increase or decrease based on multiple factors. For example, you could start at a 90% chance to get sent to layer 2, and each time you fall in, it could decrease by 5 to 10%. To make it more worrisome, in player combat, that percent change could be halved to entice you not to jump into the void at every encounter. The percentage could also be calculated based on your health. 90% health means a 90% chance to be sent to layer 2, and so on, once again halving in player combat. Pros. Gambling. Incentivizes players not to jump into the void, but also guarantees them at least a bit of safety. If a player you were fighting jumps into the void and dies, it becomes instantly more satisfying. If you die to the void, it is entirely your fault. The safety net still exists for all players to enjoy. Cons. Cheaters abusing this value to always guarantee an escape route. Players still escaping using the safety net, and loot still gets voided. This is a choice that is more difficult to implement, but also fixes a myriad of problems. Most players would see this as a good change. Number 3. Remove it for power 20s. Very short and sweet. I put this here thanks to Aga. Basically, his answer is that if you are power 20, you should be kitted with more than enough to face any challenge that comes your way in the depths. And if you can't, well, that's just a skill issue. Pros. Newer players still have an escape route. Players that are progging still have an escape route. Makes max level players feel like they should be participating in more ganks. Some cons. Getting targeted if you look like a high level player. Some players may make depths ganking builds that fit just under power 20. Stream snipers coming to gank you if they see that you are power 20, as if they didn't anyways. Some players will try to mask the fact that they are power 20 by transmogging armors and equipping unenchanted weapons. Newer players that reach power 20 for the first time may struggle. This choice is interesting. It definitely promotes a more aggressive playstyle to the depths while still pandering to the newer players. I can understand the idea behind it. And finally, number 4, the pit. This is my personal favorite choice. It is also probably the most difficult to implement, but I think it pays off so much more than any other choice. The idea is this: when you fall into the void, instead of getting wiped or sent to layer 2, you are instead sent down to a large, flat, open, caverns-like area, like the bottom of a hole, essentially. This is an area that any player who falls into the void can end up in. Basically, a server-wide arena. This area incentivizes players to fight, as the only way to get out is to wipe someone or reset. When you wipe someone, you will be given an item that lets you escape the depths immediately, regardless of if you are in combat or not. There's probably a million other possibilities and options for this area, but I don't want to bore you to death. Pros. The Gulag acts as a semi-safety net. You could possibly escape if there are a lot of people in the pit. If you want someone dead and they end up here, only one of you is leaving. Adds that fear factor back to the depths, and it's a fun King of the Hill area. Cons. You will probably wipe pretty easily if you end up here. Most of the server may end up here, making it harder to find surface depths ganks. I like this choice a lot, for many reasons. Let's just put it at that. Final thoughts. I think that the safety net in its current state is far too forgiving. There are certainly a lot better options than what we are currently using, and I hope this video made you think the same way. If you have any other ideas, or if you agree with any of the options I made in this video, please let me know in the comments. I read every single one. Yes, even the hateful ones. Thank you to my members Mint Blue Soap, Ethan Redon, Kit, Retro, and Jim, and I hope the rest of you and everyone watching has a great day.